as in football, you always need a game plan.
In life, as in football, you always need a game plan. Show me the money.
Amigos de Game Plan, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a esta nueva aventura. Arrancamos trascendiendo. Nos vamos también del otro lado de la frontera, hacia el norte, a los Estados Unidos. Arrancamos en español. Y bueno, la charla, este nuevo Game Plan Scout In. O Scouting, como usted quiera decirlo. Ya lo veo por ahí. A mi buen amigo, el coach Kevin Kelly. Se los presento como debe ser. Vamos a platicar, evidentemente, fútbol americano en todos los niveles con alguien que tiene pues más de 35 años ligados a este maravilloso deporte, como es el head coach Kevin Kelly. 9 veces campeón estatal en Arkansas. Ha trabajado con figuras como Bill Belichick, conoce el mundo de la NFL siendo scout, siendo parte de los staffs, siendo consultor, asesor en high school. Actualmente el entrenador en jefe de Sheridan High School en Arkansas. Welcome, my friend, to the show that never ends. Como dice aquel grupo, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. My man, my amigo, my brother, the head coach, Kevin Kelly. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Glad to be here. You and I share passions of the same thing. And for those of you off screen, Oscar is the most inspirational, positive guy you could have in your life. And he does that for me. And then we share a common passion in the NFL. So couldn't be more excited.
Oh, thanks so much, coach. Thanks for being here in this new adventure of Game Plan. Like you know, it's a concept we have in Mexico to talk about football and life. Like we say, in life as in football, we always need a game plan. And that's the reason we are here today to talk about the game, but this great message, the values of the game. Today is a funny day, special day in the United States. It's Halloween. And start with one of these horror movies in this season. Sorry, coach. The Dallas Cowboys. It's a crisis.
You know, for the Cowboys, this is a crisis of sorts. And what makes this different is the person that owns it, Jerry Jones, is also the guy that picks the players. And all the other teams, they have an owner, they have a general manager. But this one, you got one guy and his son doing everything. And the other part is Jerry Jones is the only owner that has his own radio show and he's on television all the time. The rest of it, it's always the coach and the GM. So when you've got one guy that everybody sees the face of all the time, making the decisions, it makes it tough. And then because of the way it's going, Jerry was on a radio show a week and a half ago, and he got mad at the guy asking the questions. And everybody saw that emotion and saw that frustration. And then it turns into a crisis because all the fans are like, you've only got you can't blame it on the coach. You've got to blame it on you because you picked all these players and you picked the coach. And so it's a crisis of sorts because the expectations were really high. And they're underperforming, to be quite honest with you. And it's for a lot of reasons. But the number one is they had a chance to get Derrick Henry in the offseason as a running back. And they said, we don't need a running back. And they got rid of Tony Pollard. And now they don't have a running game. And that's killing them. That's killing them.
Yeah, I agree. Coach, in this season, we saw the Dallas Cowboys maybe only one dimension in his playbook. One of the factors, maybe it's not the only guy with all guilty. I mean, Mike McCarthy is the only guilty guy.
You know, I'd say 90% of it is on Mike McCarthy. And here's why.
Okay.
I'm an analytics person, okay? And I study that, and I'm on different podcasts about analytics, about the deeper statistics of the game. The one thing that you don't do in the NFL is you don't call too many running plays on first down. It's not efficient. Running plays are negative point expectations every time you do them. Now you've got to do them sometimes, and they pay off sometimes. But overall, the one play, you should never run the ball on first down, in theory, in the NFL. And the Cowboys are running more on first down this year than they have ever. Now, think about what we just talked about. They're running it more on first down this year, but they don't have a running back this year. So it really makes no sense at all. And then that puts a quarterback like Dak, because I think Dak is a good quarterback. He's thrown more interceptions this year than usual, but that's because they're putting themselves in terrible situations in second down.
Yeah,
because they're running the ball too much.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, it's like a contradiction. No, we don't have running attack, and we always start in first down running the ball. No,
Yeah.
and the other guy with all the arrows, no, in his head is Dak Prescott. Everybody talk about how bad is Dak, no, the interception. Oh my God! Oh, here we go again. No, you make this another contradiction. That's my perspective. I don't know what is yours at this moment, but not only the bad guy of the movie is Dak Prescott.
No, he's not. And you know, and his stats look bad. He's got 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
But again, you're going to throw a higher number of interceptions anytime the defense knows you have to pass. And the two things that are happening, one, we talked about they're being in bad situations on second down because they're running on first down. And two, they've been behind in a lot of games, and you have to throw the ball. And when you have to throw the ball in the NFL, the defense knows that, it's easier for them to drop people in coverage or blitz you and be ready to make those interceptions. So I think I don't think Dax is the problem. And and a lot of people do, but I don't think he's the problem. They just look at his stats. But he's been in awful situations. And here's the other part. And this is the part this part to me is Dax's fault. If you dig in deeper into the Cowboys and you get the reports coming out of there, the receivers don't run their routes. They don't work hard in practice, and they don't work extra, and they don't try to get on that same page. And you see this thing 4 or 5 weeks ago with CD Lamb on the sideline barking at Dax, and but they're not running hard in practice, not running full speed. And if they're not in a game, they are running full speed, and Dax's brain is not used to where exactly to throw the ball because he doesn't know what full speed is for these guys. And that's what you get when you get a lot of young receivers. And with Brandon Cooks being hurt right now and out of that mix, he was the pro's pro that kept all the other receivers in line. And without that, CD Lamb has stepped up, and CD Lamb right now, from the reports I've seen, is not running full speed in practice, is not working hard, and you're not going to be on the same page as your quarterback. And that's another factor. So, but the part that's on Dax is he's the quarterback. He needs to say, get out here and do it, or I'm not throwing you the dang ball. And so there's a leadership quality that I think he needs to emerge with.
How looks to you this one-dimension team, is the Dallas Cowboys? Have solution? I don't know. The next game is versus Atlanta Falcons with a great offense, big defense. How looks to you the future of this team in November?
Here's where I'm a little biased because I love the Cowboys, so I'm trying to take that out. I'm trying to remove my heart.
You try to be cool. Cold.
Yeah. And so and the fact of the matter is, I think they'll win this week because most professionals, when their back is against the wall, the Cowboys are about to lose their whole season. They're 3-4. If they lose here, they're in trouble. And I think that back against the wall mentality will bring them together, and they'll play well this week. I don't foresee that in the future unless there's a change either in the play calling itself. Mike McCarthy needs to hand off the reins to somebody else because he's not able to when they had Kellen Moore, you remember when they had Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, all 3 years, they were in the top 3 in total yards, points, and everything, and yards per game. Top 3. I don't know why they pushed him out the door. And now Mike McCarthy's got it, and we're not near that. I think Mike McCarthy knows offense, but being the head coach and having to do all the other stuff, the interviews, managing the players, meet with the owner, it takes your time away from the offensive planning because they put in a lot of hours, and he's having to divide his time. He's either going to have to hand off the play calling duties to somebody, and I don't know if they have somebody that can do it, or he's going to have to just make a major overhaul and tell Jerry Jones, I don't have time for all this other stuff. I need to focus on the offensive game plan. And because their defense is starting to look bad, but it's because their offense puts them in terrible situations all the time. So I think the Cowboys will win because their back is against the wall. They're about to lose it all. But if they don't make a major change, we're going to look back and they're going to be a team that probably goes 8-9 or 7-10 and doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and now in this Halloween, another scary movie is making in New York. Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Wow, you're talking about expectations. No, what is your opinion about this 2024 season for the New York Jets?
You know, if we're not going to do this, but if you look back on my Twitter account to 2 years ago, before the injury ever happened, when he was still with the Packers, I tweeted out that Aaron Rodgers, his playing ability is going to go down because he's not as mobile anymore. This is because of the injury. I mean, this is before the injury.
Yeah.
And people didn't understand. He didn't run around like a Patrick Mahomes or even a Josh Allen. Yeah. But he moved out of the pocket and then quickly made a throw. Well, when you move out of the pocket, it changes the defense. And he was talented enough to make a great throw, but he bought himself 1 second extra, 2 seconds extra, and it changed the game for him. The Aaron Rodgers before the injury, when he was still with the Packers, he couldn't move as well. And I saw that and thought that was going to hurt him. And now, but he was saved a little bit because he had a really good offensive coach come in for the Packers. He didn't like him at first, but the guy was good for him because he did a lot of play action that made linebackers have to come towards the running back, and then he could throw it past them. And now they're not doing that play action, and it's counted on him to make his own time. And now that he's had the injury also, he's even slower moving around, and he's not able to do that. His arm talent is still there.
Yeah.
But now he's having to force the ball into small windows instead of bigger windows because he could move and make those windows bigger. So part of it was already going bad, but then the Achilles injury really hurt him as far as his ability. I think his arm is still the same. I really do. It's his legs that are killing him, and that was happening before he even hurt his Achilles.
Yeah, we have now Aaron Rodgers in a boxing ring. No, only this small area, and he can do that. No, Aaron Rodgers, no, he is the leader of the New York Jets, but at the same time, he knows him is not the same guy. When you know you don't have the 100% of your qualities, is the most dangerous scenario.
Yeah, you said it right. He's confined himself to a boxing ring. He can't get out and run around the whole stadium anymore. And you're exactly right. I think the players are seeing his diminishing skills. They're seeing he's not 100%, and it's hard for them to trust him as much. Now, I will throw this in, and we didn't talk about this. You know, he liked Nathaniel Hackett. That was his offensive coordinator to start the year. And Nathaniel Hackett, according to the numbers, is one of the worst offensive coordinators in the last 5 years. And Aaron Rodgers liked him because he lets Aaron Rodgers make his own way. He lets him audible and change plays and do all these things. Well, the old Aaron Rodgers could do that, and the new one can't. And so that mix of a bad offensive coordinator and Aaron Rodgers was really bad. So the biggest problem for the Jets is now they fired their head coach.
Yeah.
They fired the offensive coordinator, and they spent a lot to get Devontae Adams in. So they basically sold out for this year, and they're still not getting what they need.
Estamos en este primer capítulo de Game Plan Scout In. We are talking with my dear friend, my hermano, head coach Kevin Kelly, sobre esta gran pasión que es el fútbol americano. Sí, un poco en español, un poco en inglés. Por supuesto, todo alrededor de lo que es el fútbol americano. Y pues bueno, ya platicamos de dos historias, ¿no? We're talking about two horror movies in this season, the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. But now es tiempo de hablar de una historia positiva, una historia que aterra a los demás, ¿no? Maybe it's a horror movie for all the other teams. I mean, coach, is Andy Reid. What a kind of a season is having Coach Andy Reid. But not only this year. Since he came to the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid is shocking the world. What is your opinion about Big Red, about all this movie, with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, etc.?
What's going on right now in Kansas City is amazing. And it's amazing. Here's what I mean. Patrick Mahomes has 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I doubt that there has ever been a team that is 7-0 that has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. Now, what Andy Reid has done, when you look at the receivers out and you look at how bad the receivers were last year, Andy Reid wants to throw the ball. He doesn't want to run the ball. And Andy Reid wants to be an offensive team, not necessarily a defensive team. But Andy Reid wants to win more than he wants any of that other stuff. So What did he do? He's converted over to a team. Patrick Mahomes is only averaging 236 yards a game. There are years he averaged 305, 310 yards a game. Andy Reid has given up what he wants to throw the ball to win. And he's brought in a defensive coordinator that's doing a magnificent job. They went out and picked up a couple of good D-backs after they lost one. And he's like, we can't win throwing the ball every down. We've got to win another way. Most coaches won't do that. They won't change their philosophy, what they believe in, to try to win a different way because they don't think they believe in it. Andy Reid's, the difference is he believes in throwing, he believes in scoring points, but you know what he believes in more? Winning.
Yeah.
And so they're winning a whole different way. To me, not only is this the best job he's done the last 2 years in his career, and I love Andy Reid. I'm a big, big fan of Andy Reid's. Not only, I think it's absolutely the best job he's done, but for him to sacrifice his ego of, I want to score points and throw, or what do we have to do? Oh, we've got to be a defensive team to win, is amazing because you don't get that in the NFL very often.
Yeah, and the other name, I don't say it in the back, Matt Nagy. Do you remember Matt Nagy in that first season with the Chicago Bears with Mitch Trubisky? Was a great season, but after that became the darkness to Matt Nagy. And now he's part of this team. He makes some job in this team, but we don't talk about Matt Nagy. All is Andy Reid, Spaniolo, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, more even Taylor Swift now.
Yeah.
We talk more about Taylor Swift than Matt Nagy. How looks to you?
You know, it's good for Matt. You know, I pull for coaches because coaching is difficult. I mean, when it's going good, it's going good. But when it's going bad, the fans are on you. Social media is on you. You get fired. I mean, he got fired. He's getting a chance to rebuild his career right now. Because you go spend a few, in college, all the coaches that get fired, if they go work under Nick Saban, they get hired again. If you go work under Andy Reid, you got a chance to come back out of this thing and get hired again. And Andy Reid's not going to have you there unless you're helping him win.
Yeah.
And that's all I need to know behind the scenes. Matt Nagy's doing a great job. and he's not going to get noticed for it because Andy Reid's there, and they know he's got the last say. And like you say, everybody's talking about Steve Spagnuolo and the defense, but behind the scenes, to be good, and I know this because I've won at our level, you got to have great people, great assistants under you. And so I'm glad for Matt Nagy that he's getting to do a good job, and he's gonna get another chance because of this. But he's doing a good job, or he wouldn't be there, and they wouldn't be 7-0. And so I'm good for him, and I hope people take notice and start talking about him like they do Matt Nagy. Like they do Steve Spagnuolo, because he's an integral part. He's an integral part in what they're able to do right now.
Perfect. And now, tonight, in the United States is Halloween. But like you know, Coach, here in Mexico, we have the great tradition of El Día de los Muertos. And this November 1st is the 25th anniversary of Walter Payton passed away. What is your biggest memory, Coach, of Sweetness?
There's a lot of memories of Walter Payton, because when I was growing up, he was the guy. And you know, the bad thing was he was on a team that wasn't good. You know, the Chicago was never good, but he made them relevant. So he was a one-man show. But I remember that I can remember a lot of the good runs, but I remember the old days on the goal line, they used to dive over the pile. And he could fly. I saw, you know, his anniversary of his passing is coming up, like you said. I saw an image that popped up on my social media the other day, and they called him Superman because he's literally, they caught the picture when he's like that, and he's got the ball, and it looks, if you just took out the pile, it looks like he's flying. And that's the image that sticks in my mind, because I just saw him go over that pile so many times. And I would remember watching, because I'm a Cowboys fan, when they played the Bears, even though the Cowboys were better than the Bears, I always knew we might lose because of Walter Payton. So that's kind of what sticks in my head.
Yeah. Do you agree is one of the biggest starts in the NFL in another kind of era, no? Because they don't have social media, they don't have internet, they don't have 5 or 6 TV channels to show the game, but the impact on the field and outside the field of Walter Payton is still amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, if they had a top 10 ever in the NFL of just impact players, Walter Payton's in the top 10 ever. You know, people nowadays would think about a Patrick Mahomes. You might even go back and think about a Joe Montana and that. Walter Payton is one of the greatest impact players that's ever been in the game. And like you say, even before a time of social media, everybody still knows who he is. And that's what made him so good.
Yeah, this is a little tribute to the memory of the great Walter Payton. Sweetness, no, here in Game Plan Scouted with Coach Kevin Calais and myself, Oscar Clériga. Times fly, no? 25 years ago, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that, does it? Just gone
quickly, no? Like this program.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I wish for Walter Payton, remember the Super Bowl he got to play in finally?
Yep.
He got to play in the Super Bowl, and I think it was in 1985 or 6 or 95. Yeah.
Super Bowl 20.
I wish they gave Refrigerator Perry
a
carry on the goal line for a touchdown. Let Walter Payton score the touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Let me say this. Mike Ditka's biggest mistake is not Ricky Williams. Is not giving the ball to Walter Payton in the Super Bowl. That's the biggest mistake of Mike Ditka.
Yes, that's number one. That's the one thing I wish could have happened.
Yeah.
You gave it to Refrigerator Perry. The man has carried the franchise. Give the man a touchdown in the biggest game on the planet.
Yeah, unbelievable. Coach, college football, for finish this episode 1 in Game Plan Scouting, we have what kind of match the next Saturday? Ohio State, number 4 in the nation, at Penn State, number 3.
You know, I've gone back and forth. I've looked at the game, and both teams are they look like they're really evenly matched. And Ohio State has that loss to Oregon.
Yeah.
Penn State, of course, is undefeated. Oregon at Oregon is a tough place to play, so I don't hold that against Ohio State. That's really tough. But if you look at it, both teams defensively are really good. Ohio State's given up 12 points a game. Penn State's given up 14 points a game. But Ohio State has the ability to score quickly and more often. They're averaging a touchdown more a game, points-wise, than Ohio State. And I just think that Ohio State, when it comes down to it, Penn State can beat you with defense, and they can beat you with a slower, methodical offense. Mm-hmm. Ohio State can beat you with defense, and they can beat you quick with offense. Yeah. And they can also come back faster than Penn State because they can throw the ball. They've got one of the great receivers, the great young receivers in the game. And I think, to me, that gives them an edge. I mean, we can also look at where they play the game and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes right down to it, I just think Ohio State's a little bit better right now. I think they prepare their quarterback for the college game better. I watched Quinton Judkins when he played in the SEC last year. I think he's better than anybody's given him credit for. But when you look at their receivers, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, those two are better than anybody Penn State's got. So I think Ohio State wins the game, and I think Ohio State wins the game by probably a touchdown to 2 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's a 7 to 10 points. I don't think it's a last-second game. I think they just win the game outright easily.
Okay, Coach, yeah. Times fly. No, we need to close this episode 1 in Game Plan Scouting. We're talking about this great passion. My amigo, gracias. This is the first of many. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, and like I say, when you asked me to be on, I was excited about it. You picked a great list of. He's the guy that picked the topics. That was a great list of topics. I think that's interesting to everybody, and enjoyed it. And thank you for all your inspiration. Makes my day every time.
Oh, thank you very much, Coach. Gracias, all the folks. Thank you very much to all the audience here in Game Plan Scouting. Coach, thanks so much. Gracias, my amigo, my hermano. Have a great day.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Y gracias a todos. Thank you very much, all folks, to be here in this podcast, this show, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Como dice Emerson, Lake and Palmer, welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
Nice.
Have a great day, Coach. Que sea un buen día para todos, a disfrutar el fin de semana en esta nueva aventura, Game Plan Scout In, de Head Coach Kevin Kelly y su servidor Oscar Clériga. Muchas gracias a todo el Game Plan Army. Nos vamos. Primer episodio de una aventura a través de este concepto, el cual es por y para ustedes. Muchas gracias como siempre. Nos estamos viendo y por supuesto disfruten del fútbol americano. Para quienes están en México y nos hacen el favor, recuerden, el sábado los horarios se mantienen como los venimos teniendo. Partidos a las 10 de la mañana, arranca ahí todo, 1:30, 5:30. El domingo la NFL vuelve al tradicional 12 del día, tiempo del centro de la República Mexicana, y 3:05, 3:25 el resto de los juegos. ¿Por qué? Porque ya se hace el cambio de horario en los Estados Unidos de América. Nos vamos. El que mucho se despide es porque no se quiere ir. Estamos de gala, noche de Halloween, viene el Día de Muertos. A disfrutar el fin de semana.